Welcome to our YouTube channel, where we explore fascinating historical events and share intriguing stories from around the world. Today's topic is one that has captivated historians for decades: how American military tricked Japanese fleet into Battle of Midway. This pivotal battle, fought during World War II, marked a turning point in the Pacific War and ultimately led to the defeat of the Japanese Navy. In this video, we'll delve into the strategic planning and cunning deception that allowed the United States to outmaneuver and outsmart their enemies, leading to a decisive victory that changed the course of history. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be amazed by the secrets that led to this incredible feat of military prowess. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and leave your comments below. Let's get started. Have you ever heard of the Battle of Midway? It was a pivotal moment in World War II where the United States was able to turn the tide against Japan in the Pacific theater. But did you know that the American military actually tricked the Japanese fleet into battle? It's a fascinating story of intelligence gathering and strategic planning that ultimately led to a significant victory for the Allies. It all began in early 1942 when the United States Navy was still reeling from the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. The Japanese, meanwhile, were looking to expand their territorial holdings in the Pacific by attacking American bases in Hawaii and potentially invading Australia. The Navy knew that it needed to strike back, but it was important to do so in a way that would not put its already diminished forces at risk. Enter Commander Joseph Rochefort, a brilliant codebreaker who was in charge of the Navy's intelligence unit in Hawaii. Rochefort and his team had been working tirelessly to crack the Japanese code, which was known as JN-25. This code was used to send messages between the Japanese High Command and their fleet commanders, and it was considered unbreakable by most analysts. But Rochefort and his team were able to do the impossible. They not only cracked the code, but they were also able to decipher the messages quickly enough to give American commanders a strategic advantage. And it was this advantage that allowed the Navy to trick the Japanese into the Battle of Midway. The plan was simple, yet brilliant. Rochefort and his team intercepted a message from the Japanese High Command that indicated that the Japanese were planning to attack a location codenamed AF. The Americans knew that this was actually Midway Island, which was a key strategic location for both sides. If the Japanese were successful in taking Midway, they would have a clear path to Hawaii and could continue their campaign of expansion. The Americans decided to use this information to their advantage. They sent a message from Midway indicating that the island's water distillation plant had been damaged, forcing the Americans to rely on a single source of fresh water. This message was sent in the clear, which meant that the Japanese were able to intercept it. Unbeknownst to the Japanese, however, the message was a deliberate ploy. The Americans knew that the Japanese would interpret the message as an indication that Midway was vulnerable and that the Americans were too weak to defend it. The Japanese decided to take the bait and launched a full-scale attack on Midway. But the Americans were ready. They had positioned their forces in such a way that they could launch a surprise attack on the Japanese fleet as it approached Midway. And that's exactly what happened. The American planes caught the Japanese carriers by surprise and were able to destroy 4 of them in a matter of minutes. The Japanese were forced to retreat, and the Americans had achieved a stunning victory. The Battle of Midway was a turning point in the war in the Pacific. It showed that the Americans were capable of taking on the Japanese and winning, and it gave the Allies a much-needed boost in morale. But without the intelligence gathering and strategic planning of Commander Rochefort and his team, the outcome might have been very different. In conclusion, the Battle of Midway was a remarkable display of military strategy and intelligence gathering. The Americans were able to use their knowledge of the Japanese code to trick their enemies into battle, and it ultimately led to a significant victory. It's a story that reminds us of the power of intelligence and the importance of strategic planning in times of war.